Some people thought maybe, you know what, this year really isn't Super Bowl or bust. And what I mean by Super Bowl or bust is it will be disappointing for this fan base and for that football team if they're not hoisting a Lombardi at the end of the season. Doesn't mean we can't enjoy this season. Doesn't mean that, Shasky. But when I look around the league and I'm saying you got a great opportunity because next year the NFC is going to be stronger. Well, heck, this year the NFC may be stronger because there's a team in Detroit that is built for January. I'm not saying they're better than 49ers, but that is a team that is gaining confidence and has a similar style, and they are explosive offensively, and they will hit you in the mouth defensively, and they have a premier edge rusher in Aiden Hutchinson who is coming. That got my attention yesterday at Lambeau Field, Shasky. There's another team here in the NFC that has come to bring some heat, and that's the Detroit Lions.
Didn't the Los Angeles Rams tell us pretty clearly as a fan base that you better maximize your opportunities while you have them because the very next year is not granted to you? Yep. You know, things happen, injuries, bloated salaries, people wanting to get paid. At some point, the game is so violent, you're going to have a depreciation of some of your excellent players. It just happens. It's natural. You could pick Carolina a few years back. You could pick Denver a few years back. Seattle. I mean, we thought Russ and the Legion of Boom would get back there how many times?
Yeah, 3, 4, 5.
They got the one. They missed on the one the very next year and blew it at the goal line, and that was it. You know, Aaron Rodgers, I thought he'd beat 4 or 5 Super Bowls in his career. You know, so I'm with you. I think a lot of people look back at the Harbaugh 49ers and I think a lot of people thought they still had a really good team going into 2014.
Yep, and you know what?
It was done.
It was done. Over. And not to cut you off, Shasky, but it is a Football Friday brought to you by First 5 California. To learn 4 things you can do to overcome toxic stress, go to first5california.com. Another thing, the Lions moved to 3-1. They're going to run away with the NFC North.
We believe.
The Eagles. We believe. I don't see Minnesota being all of a sudden turning their season around and going on a run. I don't think Green Bay is there yet. Jordan Love needs a lot of work. He's a bit inaccurate. He's regressing a little bit after seeing some pass rushes. Chicago's, they stink. We got to sit there next Thursday night and watch them against the Commanders in the toilet bowl. So where I was going to go here, Shasky, is it is imperative for the 49ers to keep winning. That's why Sunday, I don't care what the spread is. I don't care who's out there. You have to stack wins because we need home games at Levi's Stadium. You don't want to go to Detroit in January. You don't want to go to Philadelphia in January. You don't want to go to Dallas. Now, even though Dallas is our little brothers, you want to stay home in the state of California and have as less travel as possible because these teams are physical. The Lions, Shasky, in that dome, if they get a playoff game, they've been waiting for that.
I know.
Did you see the stat? They've won one playoff game since the 60s.
There's only 2 teams that are quote-unquote original NFL merger franchises that have not been to a Super Bowl. The Cleveland Browns and the Detroit Lions.
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy. So there's no doubt about it. And, you know, it's interesting. You brought up Jordan Love, and it brings me to a conversation, Jordan Love and Jared Goff. And I think Jared Goff, for a lot of people, you know, we want to talk about what he isn't. But what he is a guy who has played in 6 different playoff games.
Yeah.
He is a guy who, if you just look at the raw numbers, they're not as bad as I think you remember.
I know.
And you look up, and he's 28, 29 years old right now, and I don't think that he's a world beater by any means, but look across the landscape of the NFC. He's got as much playoff experience as any of the quarterbacks who are going to be heading into the playoffs.
That's an excellent point.
I think he's a guy who sneakily I have confidence in. And I look across the field at Jordan Love, and I know we're, Brock Purdy mania over here. I still like Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And I'm viewing Jordan Love through the lens of how I viewed Jared Goff 5 years ago when he first got the job. And the team around him was kind of carrying him until he figured and got his bearings up. And I just think we make way too much of trying to bury some of these young quarterbacks, right? And I don't know. Like, I'm looking at Geno Smith, and I didn't think Geno would evolve into what he is now. I didn't think Jared Goff would evolve into what he is now. And I don't think these guys are top 6, top 7 quarterbacks at everyone, but they're good players that you can win a lot of games with.
No, you can't.
So I know everyone wants to bury Jordan Love this morning. I'm not going to do it. And I like LaFleur, and I still think they're going to get 8-9 wins this year.
Well, see, Jordan Love, I'm not going to bury him because I understand it's his first season. This is his first go-around going through pass rushes. There's a lot of work there. Accuracy issues, feeling the rush, knowing when to get the ball out, knowing when to kill a play, knowing when to just throw it away. He will learn that as he goes. But will Green Bay be patient with him? Will they move on from him? And that's another good discussion. But I want to go back to Jared Goff for a second because you hit on all the right spots. The playoff experience. People forget. He led the Rams down in the Superdome. And they were down 10 at the half.
That's what I'm saying.
And they won that game in the Superdome. Now, you can say they were aided by a bogus call or a non-call or whatnot. He went down there, and he got that experience, and they won a road game in New Orleans. They've won home playoff games, blowing out the Dallas Cowboys. He's lost playoff games. Hell, he went to a Super Bowl, and they're a couple plays away from beating Brady and the Patriots in a 13-3 loss. There were plays to be had, just wasn't experienced enough. And now he's in Detroit. And he's in a place that has fully embraced him. Watching Hard Knocks last year, and he's like, you know what? I'm out of California for the first time in my life. After going to Moran Catholic, after playing at Cal Berkeley, after playing down in Southern California with the LA Rams, I'm in the Midwest where they're starving for success. They're starving for it. And they built the team around this guy. The weapons that they have, Amon-Ra St. Brown. All right, Reynolds, who came over from the Rams.
I like him.
Sam Laporta, this tight end, who looks like George Kittle 2.0 out of Iowa.
He looks amazing.
He's amazing, right? And they're getting Jameson Williams back from Alabama at some point, who they haven't even worked in yet. Josh Reynolds is playing well. And David Montgomery, who I thought was a cast-off with the Chicago Bears.
Too.
That guy, and Baldy had a video, and he was right. Those 2 to 3 yard runs in the first half became 9. 10,
he's a beast.
12, 13-yard runs where they just wore on you. And Gibbs, Jahmyr Gibbs ain't bad.
Yeah.
He ain't bad. He's tough. So you look at the weapons they built around this guy and the offensive line. They are mean. They are nasty. They may be the best offensive line outside of Philadelphia. So their defense needs a little work. They won without their safeties yesterday. But that's another team in January you got to keep your eyes on because they are built for January. They are built to play outdoors. They are built to beat you up at the line of scrimmage. So when I look at the 49ers, there's no wasting this season. There's no Super Bowl or try again. It is, you got to maximize the opportunity because the Lions are coming, folks. They are coming.
You know, it's funny that you bring up the offensive line because I was having this conversation with Spadoni. The 2021 draft is known as a very weird draft. That 2020 COVID season for college football was so weird.
Yep.
And now we're about 3 years removed from it. I think we could start making some semblance of it. We all believe in Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yep.
I think everyone does.
No doubt.
Right? Number 1 overall pick. Zach Wilson, you guys getting crushed. You guys getting crushed. BYU didn't play their normal schedule.
No.
You know, he had a lot of highlights that year. He had some lowlights, but not enough body of work.
He was really inconsistent at BYU. He had to 1 year. Let's be real.
He wasn't even a team captain, which is interesting now in retrospect. Trey Lance, clearly that was a big miss, right? I mean, look, you can still think Trey could be something down the line like Geno Smith, but right now it's a big miss. Kyle Pitts, I don't know. Well, jury's still out. I like him as a prospect, but I don't know what is going on with Atlanta, right, in terms of their offense. Jamar Chase, superstar, right? Yep. Superstar. I mean, that guy goes 5 overall. Jalen Waddle feels like a star. I don't know about superstar, star.
He's a problem. He's a problem. He could be an all-pro.
And Detroit takes Penei Sewell, 7th overall. And everybody was saying they're the team that should move up and go get a quarterback.
Yep.
No way can they stick with Jared Goff. And they've empowered Jared Goff, and they take this offensive lineman who looks like he's going to be John Ogden for the
Jonathan
Detroit
Ogden.
Lions for a 10-year period.
Yep. And they got Decker on the other side. This offensive line, and they're nasty. They're mean. They like running the ball late. And they have a head coach in Dan Campbell who everybody laughed at that first year. And I remember he was struggling trying to win games. I remember he cried at the podium. He was crying because they were getting close and close and close. And in a way, it reminded me of the 2017 49ers with Shanahan and Saleh and Lynch. They lost those 5 games by 3 points or less, 5 straight times. Remember that first team in NFL history with lose 5 straight games by 3 points or less? And you could see the depression. You could see gosh, we just got to get a win for our culture. We got to get a win just to feel good about ourselves. And they got that way against Minnesota. They celebrated like they won a Super Bowl. But for that team, it was good for them. And did you see them last year? They start 1-6. Everybody's laughing at them after Hard Knocks. And Jamal Williams is yelling at them. Next thing you know, they turned their season around. They beat the Jets in the Meadowlands. They beat the Giants in the Meadowlands. They go to Lambeau Field at the end of the year and say, Green Bay, guess what? We're going to end the Aaron Rodgers tenure, and we're going to let you know that the North has a new king. And we're going to pass the torch you're going to pass the torch to us, and we're going to carry this into the next season. And now they're thinking playoffs. So that mentality from the head coach and Dan Campbell, where they're aggressive, they're going to go for it on fourth down. They're going to, 4th and 3, it's automatic. We're throwing the ball. 4th and 1, we're going to run the ball right down your throat at the goal line. That drive last night in the fourth quarter, when they were up 10, and they bled over 8 minutes off the clock, I said, that's playoff football right there.
Exactly.
And so when I look at the 49ers on Sunday, when you look playing the Arizona Cardinals, you have to keep stacking wins. You have to keep letting people know that we're the top dogs in the NFC, but you got to get these home games in the playoffs because teams are coming, and you got to maximize the window because you never know what could happen.
For a team that plays in a dome, they sure have a feel of a cold weather team.
That's what I'm saying. They're built for January.
They really are. And Aiden Hutchinson, I mean, you could see the comps. I mean, he's got a little Parsons in him. He's got a little Bosa in him. I mean, he's an absolute monster. He's way better in the NFL than I saw in college. Like, he was a good player in college. I didn't know it would translate like this.
Well, and I want to be clear here. Do I think the 49ers are better than the Lions right now? Yes, but I don't think that margin is as wide as what people think.
Well, look
people
at
are just
salaries.
laughing like the same old Lions, the same old. No, these aren't the same old Lions. They match up very well with the 49ers when you look on paper at their personnel compared to the Niners personnel.
They're all
that
25.
would be a body bag game.
They're all 25 and under.
Wow.
I mean, just look at their roster. They're a very, very, very good team right now, and they made some shrewd trades. Getting rid of Stafford was a leap of faith. They made the most of Jared Goff. And I know that the Rams ended up, winning the Super Bowl. So you could say on one end, it's a win-win for both. But they took all those draft picks from the Rams, and it feels like they've hit on all of them.
And their future looks a lot brighter.
It does.
Than the LA Rams right now. And the rookie class they just had, Branch the corner. Hopefully he gets healthy. He looks the part.
Yes.
Laporta looks the part. Jahmyr Gibbs looks the part. He is special.
And Gibbs looks special. And they traded Swift away. This is a great example.
Right.
One guy fits in one system or doesn't fit in the system. He goes somewhere else, and he does. Like Jared Goff has been embraced. DeAndre Swift has been embraced in Philly, and it worked for them. But they're not looking back in Detroit.
Right, no
they
doubt.
like what they have in Montgomery and Gibbs, and that's a nice little combination there. I'm looking at this. I'm telling you, man, this 2021 draft, it's easy to do this in retrospect because I've seen a lot of Niner fans do this. Oh, we took Lance. And there's an argument. Penei Sewell
was the guy to replace Mike McGlinchey.
I hate doing that because, no one was thinking tackle. And I get it. We were thinking Kyle Pitts. We were thinking Jamar Chase. We were thinking quarterback. But if you just look at the teams that stuck to their draft board, those are the ones that hit. Okay, Jacksonville, throw them aside. Cincinnati, stuck to their draft board.
And a lot of people thought they would take a tackle because Joe Burrow was coming off an injury.
They needed a playmaker, and they got a playmaker, even though they had dudes.
Right.
J.C. Horn in Carolina, I like him. We'll see.
We'll see.
He's a guy I would love to acquire. Patrick Surtain feels like a stud.
Mm-hmm.
He's ranked one of the best in the game. Devontae Smith, how's that working out?
Yeah, pretty damn good.
All right, now Justin Fields go 11, not looking good. Micah Parsons, standing pat, taking the best player overall. He might be the best player coming out of this draft.
No doubt.
Rashawn Slater is a good player.
He is a good player.
All right?
He's a very good player. He just can't stay healthy.
Mac Jones stinks. Absolutely stinks. Zaven Collins, you're going to see this weekend if he's not hurt. He's a good player.
Zaven Collins is a good player. Nice young rookie who they could build around down in Arizona.
The Raiders reach for Alex Leatherwood out of the league. Okay?
Already.
Jalen Phillips sat there for Miami. Feels like a stud.
Yep.
Kadarius Toney, they reach for him, the New York Giants. He's been traded once already.
Yeah, but you know what? Kansas City found something in him, and he was a factor in that Super Bowl.
It works for them, but it did not work for the Giants.
It did not work for the Giants. So I go back to this.
Crazy. That draft is crazy.
You brought up tackle, and it even goes back to the Javon Kinlaw draft with Brandon Ayuk and Tristan Wirfs. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a lot of people say, right, go get Tristan Wirfs. Go get Tristan Wirfs.
I wanted an offensive lineman.
And so the Niners haven't committed that. So all I'm saying is this. The urgency this year for the 49ers. We're going to have fun watching this football team. We're all in on Purdy. We're all in on this offense. We're all in on this defense. We're all in on Jake Moody. We're all in on Shanahan and Lynch.
Yeah.
But you got to take advantage because there's a team in the North that is coming.
I know.
And they're not slowing down. They're taking names and taking chains, and that's Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. The Philadelphia Eagles, we know about them. We're watching them left and right. Mm-hmm. But, boy, if I could go down the road and get a bye week and, say, play the winner of the NFC South in the second round or the Dallas Cowboys and then host the NFC Championship game and let the Lions and Eagles beat up on each other, I'm good with that.
Totally agree.
I'm okay